A ghost?
Isn't Peter 7? Hurry!
Yes, ma'am, we deal with this stuff all the time.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Tavern Talk. I am Philip, and joining me this week is Mr. Chris Cagle from Rage, you nerds. Check out that podcast. But thank you for being here, Chris. I really, really appreciate it.
Oh, it's super awesome to be here. You listen, all you had to say was Ghostbusters, and I was pretty much on board with whatever it is that you were about to ask me.
Oh, well, I was going to say, I need you to know up front, I was honored to watch this movie with you, first of all. Like, you are one of the biggest Ghostbusters fans I know, and so I was like, yes, Ghostbusters Afterlife is what we're talking about this week, and yeah, if there was one person I could have done the review with, needed to be Mr. Chris Cagle. So the bit here on the show is we just walked out of the theater, just saw this. What is your initial reaction?
My initial reaction is that this felt like a conclusion to something that I fell in love with, for me, probably 30 years ago. So I would have been 4. I was not alive when the first movie came out. I missed that by just a couple years. Thank you, parents. And there's so many things that call back. So there's meaningful callbacks. There are things that are insignificant if you're not really trying to find them that are included in there. There's just so much laid out in this film, and like my initial reaction is there is a 4-year-old boy that was watching a VHS back in 1991 that is falling in love with something over again. Like, it was great. Like, I loved everything about that. It was just
That's awesome.
A lot of reminding of what I loved about the first one.
Right. Yeah, so that's, I mean, another reason I wanted to have your perspective on this is because you have loved it since such a young age. It does mean so much to you. Whereas I, on the other hand, am more of a casual viewer. Like, I didn't see these until college, you know?
Oh, wow.
I know. It's crazy. And so I don't have like that nostalgic connection from my childhood to them. Obviously a big fan of like SNL in the 80s, all those guys, and like, oh, they were in a movie together? Great, let's watch it. Oh, there's a sequel? That was fun, let's do it. So yeah, I've always enjoyed them, always appreciated like Bill Murray's brand of humor. So this, I was like, oh yeah, this will be fun, this will be exciting. But what was most intriguing about this new movie to me was that Jason Reitman was directing it, who is the son of Ivan Reitman, who directed the original 2. And so I was eager to see like how this kind of legacy sequel carried on those first 2, because it did always feel like there needed to be more after those 2 in the 80s. Like, it just felt like there needed to be a conclusion, and this kind of feels like it fills that void.
Yeah, and there's a point of contention about if Ghostbusters 2 would be considered part of a continuation
Oh, really?
of the story. And that, there was a calendar scene that did not indicate that 1989 was part of any happenings of Great Manifestation. So it's probably still going to be a point of contention because Ray's occult is included. But was that a retcon? Who knows? Who cares? Like, people like me out there on the internet are very angry in a Reddit subreddit somewhere, just clicking away. It so is. Vigo's out there. Oh my gosh, this one is tough, right? Asking to continue your father's work,
right,
while he's watching over your shoulder. I could barely help my father with menial labor around the house when I was a kid. I can't imagine trying to take my father's most iconic work and make the next step of that. And I think when you consider all of that, listen, are people going to walk in, because it's already getting kind of, the critic bombs and stuff like that. Are people going to walk in that are trying to view this from a lens of is this better than the first Ghostbusters or not? I think that's always going to be a tough ask, because the first Ghostbusters is so unique in what it was. But I would say as a next step in that story, this was great. I mean, even just thinking about it from someone that's, lost a grandfather or lost a parent or lost someone close to you, there's a lot of beats in there that's one, I wish I could have some kind of closure like that. And two, there's just so much, I don't know, it's just, it was a very heartwarming kind of film for a thing about Oklahoma.
Right, well, that's what's kind of interesting about it, is because apparently Ivan Reitman was on set with Jason Reitman, just sitting there with him, and so great reference point. Yeah. But at the same time, but what's interesting is Jason Reitman has made movies like Juno and Up in the Air and Thank You for Smoking and these more human stories. He hasn't made anything that's necessarily big budget sci-fi, anything with a huge concept like this before. They've always been smaller, more intimate stories, and this kind of blends the two of what he's accustomed to doing with what his father did in the originals. And I think that was what was made this both a good homage to what came before, but also gave it enough to make it stand on its own as well, which is what kind of impressed me the most about it.
For as much as this is a love letter to Harold Ramis, this was a love letter to Egon Spengler. Yeah. You get to know more about Egon's his personality, his characteristics, the fact that there's a Twinkie, the Crunch Bar, all of that was stuff that was included as a plot point in the first Ghostbuster film, that he had a sweet tooth. That's why after the first library ghost incident, they give him the candy bar and he has the Twinkie in the Twinkie scene. So they've included so much to show that this is truly Egon's film. It's just amazing. It's just amazing. And again, there's 5 people that are going to walk in and notice that.
Well, no, that's the thing, because you mentioned it's kind of getting bombed by a couple or a good portion of the critical responses just called this existing purely on nostalgia. Yeah. And it's things like that. It's oh, I recognize that, and they've kind of boiled the movie down to being that's all it's about. That's the only purpose it serves. Which, after watching it, I'm just no, how could that be all you got from it? Because there is a real emotional heft to the story. And also want to talk about the performances here, because you have Paul Rudd and Carrie Coon, who are great actors in their own right, have all the charisma in the world. Love seeing them. But you also have Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things plays Carrie Coon's son and one of Egon's grandchildren. But the star of this movie is McKenna Grace.
McKenna Grace is amazing.
She's fantastic. And if you haven't seen Gifted, she did a movie a couple years ago when she was even younger with Chris Evans. It made my top 10 of the year. I love that movie. So to see her grow and do she's been in a bunch of stuff, but she is legitimately great here. And just what I mean, just looking at her visually, it's she's Egon's granddaughter, easy, and she just nails the voice, the tone of it, how she expresses, or the lack thereof, expressing her emotions, all that stuff, just really just nailed it.
The wild thing is realizing that she would have been 13 or 15 when they made this film back a couple of years ago.
Right.
Like, the way that she carried herself, like, she is a star. Like, that
Yeah.
is
Oh, for
amazing.
sure.
Like, I've loved her in some other stuff, of course. But, like, just seeing that, like, everything that she did seemed to work for me. I really love that character.
Yeah.
Phoebe is definitely my favorite.
Yeah.
Well, podcast is pretty good, too.
I need to know that actor's name, like, because if I don't think I've seen him in anything else.
I think he's been in maybe a commercial, because
Really?
I've watched a lot of Ghostbuster behind the scenes stuff, and I think he was talking about it. I think he might also be younger than McKenna Grace.
Yeah,
he's fairly young too, so it's just wild seeing.
No,
like,
he was great.
Yeah, two of my favorite characters of the new batch were like these incredibly young, talented actors.
Well, and just knowing how hard it is to like get good comedic chemistry between adult actors, like,
Yeah.
and people who are comedians for a living, like making that snap on screen, like it just felt really natural, and it like the sense of humor overall like really worked. And yeah, of course, like you have Paul Rudd on there, and he gets some solid laughs, but he's more he's definitely a supporting character. He kind of was reminiscent of like the Rick Moranis character a little bit.
In a lot of ways.
Yeah. I didn't know like if that was the right parallel to draw,
Yeah,
but it
was.
definitely felt like that.
And Dan and Bill Murray and all of them that they've been doing the late night circuit here recently have kept saying that Paul Rudd has inherited Bill Murray's character, like the qualities of Bill Murray in a Ghostbuster franchise.
Right.
And I see that, but I saw a lot of Rick Moranis in
Yeah.
that character.
Yeah.
And-
It just, well, even like the function the character served, it kind of
Yeah.
felt really similar to that. But no, I was trying to think of like other aspects I wanted to discuss. Was there anything else that like stood out to you that you wanted to highlight?
I mean, listen, if you've seen the first Ghostbuster film and it's been a while, go back, rewatch it, and then watch this film.
Yeah.
And you'll notice the asymmetrical book stacking. You'll notice the references to the Blast of 1909. There's all of these things that were in the first film that just make you think, wow, what did I walk into? I mean, there's references to the Dana abduction in her apartment. There are references to a lot of Dana stuff in this. Like, it is so mind-blowing as someone that like remembers a bunch of quotes from the film of like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they brought that back.
But yeah, I did want to say I love the look of it too. Like I was talking about how it doesn't necessarily feel like the movies of the 80s, but there is enough like homage there to like still have that connective tissue. Yeah. But like it's set in Oklahoma, and it has a whole other vibe to it than those original movies. But I love the way it looked. And
if I was a young person now watching this film, living in Arkansas still,
right,
like this immediately makes Ghostbusters more relatable to me, because like that small town Oklahoma with only a big Walmart, like that's every town I've ever lived in my life.
Right. Yeah. No, it was. Yeah. As far as just like pure entertainment value, like I guess I'm just like really mystified at these people who are only seeing the nostalgia aspect of it, because I don't know, I didn't, like I said, I don't have a real strong like emotional tie to these movies, and came in with average expectation. Like I didn't know really what to expect, but I kind of like really, really enjoyed myself.
The biggest mistake you could make if you're making a Ghostbusters continuation 30 years later is to ignore the fact that the first Ghostbusters existed.
Right.
And not to say any maybe reboot try to do that, but like it's tough. But at the same time, yeah, I mean, like you can grill it for its nostalgia, but that's literally like that. It's a continuation of a story. Of course, it's going to have a lot of references that harken back.
Well, and what I think it does to overcome that really is like we were talking about the characters.
Yeah.
Like we're invested in these characters, and it spends time setting up these new characters to the point that we legitimately care about them, not just because they're related to these, some of the original characters, but because we want to get to know them for who they are and follow them on this journey. But yeah, I was really entertained by it, really enjoyed it. Anything else you wanted to highlight? Or
if podcast puts out his actual podcast, I'll probably listen to at least 46 episodes worth of it.
Well, yeah, you got to do at least the first 46.
Voice.
Yeah, at least the first 46. All right, well, on Tavern Talk, we do an initial reaction rating out of 5 stars. So out of 5 stars, what would your initial reaction rating be?
So listen, for my street cred, I'm giving it a 5-star.
Right.
For my fandom, I'm going to take your 5 stars and make it a 10-star.
It's fair.
Like, IMDb puts 4 stars on the original Ghostbusters, so I guess if I had to be critical, 4 stars. But I'm giving it 5 stars. 5 golden stars, 5 thumbs up, whatever.
Well, you know,
whatever rating you want to give it.
I wouldn't have expected nothing less. That makes perfect sense. I really enjoyed it. Is it like, the greatest film ever? No, but like for what it wanted to accomplish, like for what it set out to accomplish, I think it fulfilled that really well. For me, it's a solid 4-star movie. Like, it's thoroughly entertaining. It has emotional weight to it. The performances are fantastic. Visually, it's really enchanting. So it's a great, solid 4-star popcorn entertainment movie, and definitely worth venturing out to the big screen to see. But thank you, Chris, for joining us for this.
Thank you for having me here for this.
Yeah, where can we listen and watch Rage, You Nerds?
Oh my gosh, this is me as a 30-something-year-old saying, we got a TikTok now. Pretty much you can find us at either Rage, You Nerds on any platform or just searching at Rage Nerds on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. You can find us. And once you find one, you'll find our link tree that will take you to all of them.
Yeah.
We're so savvy and young.
Well, no, definitely check it out. It's a lot of fun. I love the trailer reactions especially. They're a great time. But no, thank you again. Thank you to the Movie Tavern for letting us see the movie here. Definitely check out Ghostbusters Afterlife at a movie tavern if you have one near you. And thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit the little notification bell. That way you get a notification every time we upload a new review, which we try to do once a week of the biggest release. But thanks, and we'll see you next time. Peace. Your initial reaction review to Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Oh, I liked it. I mean, it threw me back in the 80s. And yes, Chris, I was alive when that one came out. So it did throw me back there and brought memories back. I thought they did a good job with the younger group that filmed it. Go see it. I mean, it was awesome. Like I said, I thought they did a great job. And the whole movie is not in the trailer, so there's a lot of other shots, and I thought they did a really good job.
Yeah, 2 thumbs up?
2 thumbs up.
Sweet.